Stop it, start it. Yeah. Setting your little timer. Good job, buddy.
All right. Hi, Darrell.
Hello, Michael.
How's it going?
Good.
Hey.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Thank you. Delicious. Hey guys, welcome back. Coach Darrell from castironworkouts.com. I got Mikey with me. No Rachel today.
Nope.
It's gonna be a good day.
Oh God! Every time.
It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a real good day. Probably be the smoothest podcast we've had yet. Yeah, so just me and Mikey today. We're gonna be hanging out, yapping a little bit. Today's Sunday, September 27th. I think
That's right.
about that.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Oh, happy birthday, Mike's mom. Yeah, cool. So today, Sunday, what are we going to talk about, Mike? We're going to talk a little bit about recovery today. Recovery is kind of a missing element for a lot of people in their training programs, something that is, I guess the best way to put it, overlooked, underutilized. I mean, however you want to word it. And it's something that's just kind of forgotten about quite a bit. And there's so many different things that go into recovery when it comes to training. And I know most people don't have them all down, right? There's always something that somebody's lacking. I know even, for me, as much as I preach, and I try and teach this stuff to others, there's still things for myself I know that I'm lacking, like as far as recovery goes. So recovery is probably probably one of the biggest pieces to your training program. Now, I'm gonna say that. I say that with a little bit of hesitation because if you're new to working out, recovery is probably not the first thing you need to worry about. Right now, you do need to worry about recovering and sleeping and eating right because that all plays into recovery. But if you're working out once a week, recovery is probably not your issue. Okay. A lot of people are like to talk about things that they hear, buzzwords that they hear people talking about overtraining or, I'm overdoing it or I'm working out too much. For a majority of the people out there, that's not the problem. Okay. But when you do start training regularly and training consistently, it is something that you kind of need to focus on. Right. And the recovery aspect of things, it's why it's neglected is it takes a little bit of thought. Right. And it's kind of like, nutrition, and nutrition does play into that recovery side of things, but, making sure, for a lot of different things, like making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're eating right, you're stretching, you're taking rest days, you're, on your off days, the days that are rest days, you're getting some type of light movement and active recovery. There's all of these things play into recovery, right? And there's like I just reeled off a bunch of stuff there, and that's just the stuff that's just right on the surface level. And each one of those things can be diagnosed and looked at a little bit deeper. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. And I know when you walked in today and I was talking to you about what we were going to talk about, and the first thing I mentioned was sleep, and you went, yeah, I'm not getting enough of that.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and that's usually the big one for most people, right? Like, how much sleep do you really need, right? I mean, honestly, how much sleep do you really need? For most people, you always hear the 8-hour rule, and that's usually a good rule of thumb, right? That's usually a good jumping off point. For some people, it's a little bit less. For some people, they need more, right? It's just the way it is. And it's, you think back to, let's say, like when you were a teenager, you probably sleep for 12 hours, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're laughing, but I mean, do you know a teenager who couldn't? Why? Why can teenagers sleep like that? Their body needs a recovery. Their bodies are growing and doing so much that you need that sleep, right? I mean, you do. And, even as you age, your body still needs rest. The whole, it's a fine line, because I'm that person who I battle this myself. if, I'm that person who goes, yeah, you got to grind, you got to work, you got to put in the effort, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the hours. And I'm that one who likes to get up early to work out. And if you are getting up, let's say at 4 a.m. to work out, but you went to bed at midnight, you're probably doing yourself more harm than you are good.
Well, you're getting real close to that too. It's 11:30, okay, not midnight, but
right,
and
but
it's about 4:45.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like how much good are you doing as opposed to how much harm are you doing, right? And sleep is, like I said, if there's one thing that we could spend more than a whole episode just talking about sleep, and it is the best possible thing for your body for so many different reasons, right? Like what happens when you sleep? Well, yeah, your body rejuvenates, it repairs itself. It's where your hormones balance. It's where, like I said, a lot of repair is going on from damage done the day before. It's where, those hormone levels are optimized. It's where your brain has a chance to finally rest, break down, and process everything that happened from the previous day. There's a lot that happens when you sleep. So if you want to stall your progress real fast, deprive yourself of sleep. Yeah, I know. Mike's laughing. He's like, I hate you so much right now. Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk. I mean, seriously, like about Mike personally, like how much are you sleeping right now?
5 hours.
Right. And
that's
go ahead.
15 minutes less, 15 minutes more, but not really outside of that window.
Right. And why?
Well, schedule, things that I need to do throughout the day, even wind down time when I'm done with things. Can't go straight to sleep, Brain's got to just do nothing for about half an hour at least. And then even when I lay down, like I think last week or the week before I told you something about, it was like 9:30 or I don't know what time. It was early for me. I'm excited because I get to go to sleep, and I could not fall asleep for like 2 hours.
You're too excited about sleeping. I'm so excited I can't sleep. Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I'm finally gonna get to get some quality hours, and I look forward to the next day, the next morning. If I'm able to do that, and I could fall asleep for 2 hours.
Yeah, I get that also. I get that also. That same thing. Like this morning was a perfect example for me. Like Sundays are my days where I go, okay, I'm not going to set my alarm. Every other day during the week, my alarm's set for 4 o'clock, right? Or sometimes on Saturdays, I'll let myself set it for 5, right? But Sunday's a day where I don't. And then I had a neighbor like start a loud car in the court and start like revving the engine at 5 a.m. this morning. I'm like, I guess I'm up. Thanks a lot.
Then your body's an hour over, so it's easier for you to.
Yeah, and it's but yeah, the that lack of sleep, right? That lack of sleep. How much harm is it doing? Or I don't want to say how much harm, but how much is that restricting your progress right now? Right.
I imagine a lot because the last 2 nights I got quality sleep. I feel great right now. Standing here. And I could, if we had to work out, I could work out and I feel like I could kill it. I have that energy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What are we doing? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
yesterday's workout.
No. I just happened to miss that one.
Yeah.
I was just a little busy. But yeah, I feel my energy. I could get through, and a little better than just get through workouts. I feel like I'm still doing things with quality during the week, but because I got the last 2 nights of quality sleep, like digestively, I feel more, clear and just my body is just ready to go. My brain too, which is nice. Because then when I don't throughout the week, I have those lulls. I crash. I need like an hour and a half nap. I can't even think, because.
So you are napping during the week?
I have to sometimes. It's 50-50 with whatever same amount of sleep. But yes, if I have to, because then I can't get anything done efficiently. I'm just fighting it,
Right. Yeah, see, I'm the same way. Like there's days, like during the week, like when I'm coaching, and the reason why I get up at 4 is I'm that person. I need to move a little bit before I start coaching, right? So I'll get up, and you see me in the mornings. You're shaking your head. It's I get here before everybody else, an hour before everybody else. I go for anywhere between a 3 and a 5 mile run. I come back. I coach. I'm ready to fire. and then I'm going, right? And I'm coaching a couple classes and I'm doing other stuff. And then for me, like, it's my schedule. Like, I don't have a lot of classes to coach right now, but it's that split day. So it's early and then late. So that kind of wears on me a little bit, right? So
I could see it.
Yeah, and there's days where like I'll get done coaching the morning classes and I'll go, all right, today's the day where I'm going to go home and give myself an hour. And I'll go home and try and sleep for an hour just to make sure that I am getting that rest, getting that little bit of recovery. And it's, for me, it's like that, like you said, the mental side, like for me personally, if I'm not getting rest, if I'm not getting sleep, like mentally I'm a bag of crap, right? Like I can't, my focus is out the window, right? It's hard to concentrate on one task. And I know like for you probably notice the same thing, like with school, right? Like,
I'm at 6 classes right now, and I just had to let one assignment go for one class, which whatever, I'm still on track with what I got to do, but I was like, not worth it. Meaning, I just let it go, and the overall is going to be fine, but I had to do that, and then I got to experience what it was like going from a 6 p.m. class to a 6 a.m. class last week. That's a quick turnaround because most of that kind of is sleep.
Yeah.
And then you're here, and then you're right back.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, it's different, right?
Doing it every day. So, good job.
Yeah, it's different.
Oh,
It's different for sure. So sleep, like I said, that's where, you're definitely, you're getting the rest. It's that time for your brain to kind of have its decompressed time for you to sort out thought, whether you realize that or not, time for that brain to recharge, but your body too. Like you mentioned digestion. That is a huge thing. That's a huge time for your body to digest and rest and do its magic, basically, right? Without getting into the details of all the digestion that happens and the balance of hormones. And that's one thing too. And it's, you want a quick recipe for disaster, right? As far as working out and sleep goes. Work out super hard, right? Say I give you a hard workout today and you're going to do heavy fucking squats, right? I'm just going to bury you with squats and a hard leg day. Well, typically on days like that, you sleep good, right? So you want a recipe for disaster is do a hard workout, go home and get that 4 hours of sleep, and then get up the next day and see how you feel. You're probably going to be a little bitch. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is not necessarily in the form of working out, but you're probably going to be moody and you're probably not going to feel good. And it's going to be hard to have that motivation and you're not going to want to do anything. And then you're going to feel like, and then you're going to want to eat crap. And then, and it's like one thing plays into the next. So that's like when I talk about recovery, that's why I always start with sleep. Like, and I do that with my nutrition clients, the people that I work like one-on-one with. That's, they come to me for nutrition. I start drilling them on sleep, and they're like, "Why are you asking me about sleep? Aren't we supposed to be talking about food?" Yeah, we'll get there, but like, how much rest are you getting? Right? That's huge when it comes to recovery. If you're not getting that sleep, right? And I can't remember who said it. If you're not getting sleep, and they use that example of going to bed at midnight, and getting up at 4 a.m. And they were saying, at that point, you think you're doing good because you're getting up early to work out. But they use the analogy of you're stepping over $100 bills to pick up a nickel, right? It's very true, right? Is you're passing over the stuff that's going to do you the most good to do something small. So start sleeping more, bro.
Well, last week was tough. I mean, it's like I make sure I get here, but I've thought about not coming. Once. I don't want to make that a habit though, so I just force myself to come in here and stick it out till the weekend. Yeah,
and it's one of those things. It's all right. So you got to weigh the pros and cons, right? Like what's doing me the most good, and I know for a lot of people the hard part too is okay. How can I readjust my schedule to fit in more sleep, right? And that's a hard thing to do for a lot of people, especially for you. You got 6 classes, you're working, you're doing this stuff, like and you're working out, plus. You got a lady at home that you got to keep happy.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have I told you, well, Marty and I got to hang out. And we got to make sure we do that with each other.
Oh, for sure.
She's in school too, and she's got her full-time job. So if we don't pay attention, it's easy to, and then frustration will build without trying. And so,
Yeah. It's, I know we have to do the same thing like at our house, man. And that's like, it's funny, you see me, I always have a notebook, right? And you always see me with I have different colored notebooks, and I get notebooks for this, and I got notebooks for that. I'm writing stuff down that I have to do, and whether I'm writing out an actual schedule, a to-do list, or whatever it is for that day, like I'm writing things down to schedule stuff in my own head, right? Like there's times where I'll write down like, okay, I'm going to play 20 minutes of catch with Dalton today.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do this, or, I'm going to go on a walk with the family here. It's like, you have to build that time in or it's going to go away.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with sleep. It's the same thing with sleep. I mean, you've heard me say it multiple times of like, you text me after 8:00 at night, you don't get a response. And that's true, right? Because it's happened before. Like I'll say, if we haven't talked by 8 p.m., you're not going to hear from me. Because that's one thing that, and it's been in recent years of that I won't compromise on. It's like, I know like people will make fun of me for it. I know my brother will, like all the time. He's like, 8:00 hits, what are you doing? He's going to be in bed. Like you're not going to get a hold of him, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's just that one thing, like, because I know the importance of it and like how I can operate and how I will deal with the things that are going on when I have sleep as opposed to when I don't. Right. So, we're harping on sleep quite a bit here, but I want everybody out there to understand, like, that is the first place that they should be starting. When we talk about recovery, we talk about, this and that and, supplements and food and, start with your sleep. If you are not sleeping, go to sleep.
Well, yeah, because then your body's not processing right anyway.
Right.
So you could take all the supplements
right.
in the world. It's just not going to be good.
Right. That's exactly right. It's, all the other stuff doesn't matter if you're not getting it, right? So, excuse me. So I would start there. Second would be food, right? Second's going to be nutrition. And nutrition and sleep play off each other. I mentioned before, like, if you're sleep deprived, right, you get less sleep, you're going to be up for more hours during the day. So naturally, what are you going to want to do more? Eat. Because you're going to have more hours that you're awake, right? So for most people, what's the goal? It's to be fit, healthy, probably drop a few lbs, probably drop some body fat, whatever. Well, if I'm up longer, my body doesn't have time to process that food, and I'm up for an extended period of time or a longer period of time, I'm probably going to eat an extra meal. Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't sound like that's doing me a whole lot of good nutritionally, right? So, again, I know I just went back to sleep, but that's how that's going to kind of play into the nutrition side of things. On top of that, if I'm eating crappy food, right, what's that do? Well, a lot of different things. Number one, it can play around with my blood sugar levels. If my blood sugar levels are all over the place and I'm getting ups and downs and highs and lows, I'm getting crashes, that's going to affect my sleep, right? So that's going to make things even harder, okay? And then also, like, if I am not getting enough food and I'm not getting enough nutrients, I don't know about you, but I know for me personally, if I'm not getting enough food in, and I'm not talking about overeating, I'm just talking about eating a good amount of quality food, I don't sleep well. I'm not going to sleep. My body, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to be hungry, I'm going to have multiple times during the night where I wake up. So the nutrition side of things is huge, right? And like when I'm talking about nutrition, we can get into good foods, bad foods. I'd rather not today, but a kind of a big one there is like for recovery is protein, right? And I think that's something that a lot of people overlook, especially if they're training and they're working out, is eat protein, eat a ton of it, right? It's going to do you more good than harm by far. Like you hear people say, well, can't you eat too much protein? You know how much protein it takes to eat to do you actual harm? Way more than you could ever imagine. Okay. Right? Way more than you can imagine. There were studies done a long time ago where, it's kind of like the salt studies that we talked about on the podcast before where people are like, well, isn't salt bad for you? Well, salt, where that kind of came from was, salt's bad for you if you're giving it to somebody who already has high blood pressure and you're giving them 10 times or 100 times the amount they should be taking.
They're not moving around.
Yeah, a lot of the protein myths
that's how I grew up about salt, that it was bad.
Right.
Basically.
Right, and it's kind of the same thing with protein. Is I was told multiple times, like growing up, is well, you eat too much protein, it's bad for your kidneys. Well, that's not really true, right? Like the protein myth out there, or the studies that were done, and I wish I had them here on paper so I could reel them off for you, but there was studies done on people who already had kidney issues or were on dialysis, right? And they were given excess protein. Well, if my body's already having kidney problems and I'm overloading it with protein, that probably doesn't sound like that's going to end well, right? But for a normal, healthy person, your body's going to be able to eat and digest and take in protein, you know? And you just talk about like from an evolutionary standpoint, right? Like what is a human? You're a hunter-gatherer, right? What were you meant to do? Probably go prolonged periods without eating, and then you go hunt, and then you probably gorge and take in just how much? Yeah, I mean, as much protein as you possibly can. Your body's meant to take that stuff in, right? And it's meant to digest it, and it's meant to utilize it as much as possible. Protein's one of those things, too, that why I like protein, why I push protein is, yeah, it helps with repair, right? And rejuvenation of cells and all this good stuff, but protein's hard to store as fat. It's really hard to store as fat. Like, your carbs and your fats are a little bit easier, right? Because those are your energy sources. If they're not utilized, what do you do with those? You store them, right? Your body's going to store them as a stored energy source. With protein, it's a lot harder, right? Your body's usually just going to use as much as it possibly can. It's going to get rid of it, right? That's why you see, you know, athletes, bodybuilders, lifters, people who are training super hard. You know, how much protein are they eating? Probably 2 grams at least of protein per pound of body weight. So for you, that'd be 400 grams of protein a day.
Wow.
Sounds glorious to me. I don't know. But yeah, protein's that one, like, that I always tell people too, like, you know, especially if you are a person like me who struggles with a really strong appetite, protein helps keep you full and it makes you feel full longer. And I'm talking about lean protein. I'm not talking about like my favorite, like ribeyes or anything like that, because there's a ton of fat and stuff like that. But, you know, your lean proteins, those are going to help keep you full, help you feel full longer. So, you know, eat those. They're going to help you, you know, repair, rebuild, rejuvenate. So, you know, from a dietary standpoint, I'm not saying just go out and only eat protein. You know, your body needs carbs. Your body needs fats also. You know, and again, I didn't want to get too detailed into all that stuff today, but a little bit on it, like fats. Make sure you're eating your fats because that's going to help your hormone balance, right? Your carbs. Carbohydrates, they're going to help hydrate your body, your muscles, your cells. So you definitely want some of that stuff, right? Unless you're leaning one side or the other, going that higher carb, lower carb. But, you know, eat those good quality food sources, whole real foods. That's good. That's going to help. Yeah. Should I go any more about nutrition? I think I kind of covered it there without getting too detailed. Like I said, we can open up a whole nother can of worms and start and I can start yappy about the nutrition side of things. But, you know, eating good foods is going to help you recover, right? It's going to make you feel good. It's going to make your body repair faster. If you are under eating, you know, I'll start there. If you're under eating, your body can't repair, right? If I don't have the nutrients and I don't have the things that I need, my body can't work its magic and do all the processes that it needs to do.
It's kind of like a stock of resources, and in order to sustain itself, it needs this much. And if it wants to do more, then it needs to be able to send those resources.
For sure.
So if it doesn't have them, then
for sure, and
it's
that balancing act, right? It's that balancing act. You know, I say most people, what's their goal, right? It's to drop body fat, lose some weight, be fit, be healthy. And you know, when you're trying to lose weight, lose fat, you usually have to eat less more than what you burn, right? And that's kind of that, like the calorie equation. I use calorie equation loosely because I think that equation needs to be modified a little bit and fixed a little bit. But if I'm deathly under eating and I'm not getting nutrients, my body's not going to let me work, right? I'm not going to let my body work properly, I should say. And I've seen a lot of people that, you know, when they are training, they're working out, and I say training, and then when they're working out and they're exercising and they are dieting, right, and they're under eating. We talked about this a little bit on one episode. Is when they're deathly under eating, their body is starving for nutrients, so it kind of stops working, right? It's like, man, you're not really feeding me. I'm going to kind of hang on. Yeah, I'm going to kind of hang on to whatever I got here. So with a lot of people, I've seen this work quite a bit, is they change. They start eating whole real foods instead of just eating like tilapia and,
Yeah, light.
yeah, super light vegetable, super low calorie. And then their body has these nutrients. It has the food that it needs. And all of a sudden, you would think because they're eating more food, they're going to gain weight, but they actually start losing weight. Right? So again, it's about recovery, right? If my body can't recover and repair and rebuild and rejuvenate, it's not going to function properly, So, yeah, a little bit on nutrition there. So just kind of talking about that, like with, under eating and then, trying to recover, it just doesn't really happen, right? So, I've seen it go that direction. Then I've also seen it play out where, I don't even want to use the overeating, but let's say you're making poor food choices, right? But let's say you're still working out, say you're still training, and you may have noticed this, and I'm not trying to pick on you for eating bad foods or anything like that, but we've talked, and it's one of those things like, okay, you eat good quality food, like you said, you respond well to red meat. You eat good food, you have, let's say, a steak, and let's say spinach and sweet potatoes work for you. Let's say you have all those foods. The next day you feel good, you sleep good, and you recover well. You're not real sore, you're not real banged up, you're not real beat up. Okay, a few days go by, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm pressed for time. I'm going to go to McDonald's. I eat this, or I go to Taco Bell, or I go to Carl's Jr. I'm just throwing out fast food places right now. We're getting Mike fired up. But say you go and have those foods, right? And then what's that usually do for recovery? Well, a lot of times it's going to give you a little extra energy the next day in the workout, but you may be more sore, right? You may be more beat up. Your body may not be functioning as well. Does that make sense? And I don't know, like for you personally, if you can pinpoint that when it happens.
I haven't noticed soreness. I've noticed the good, but not really the bad. I mean, there's lulls of something hanging out longer and it slows me down because it wasn't necessarily good. So my body's taking longer to process it. But I haven't noticed the soreness thing, but I'll because I try to tune into everything right now. And yeah, sometimes I feel like dairy in particular lately doesn't affect me negative too much.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my body moves okay with it.
Okay.
And I'm talking cheese and ice cream. I'm not drinking milk.
See, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, rewind that and look how big Mike's eyes got when he said cheese and ice cream. He's like,
kind of paying attention to those, and I feel like, I guess a lot of pasta would affect me worse than eating those things.
Okay.
And I don't eat a ton of pasta or something like that, but that's the kind of thing that'll stick.
Yeah.
And I'll feel it like if I'm running. I'll feel like, man, like that's when my back kind of.
Yeah, you get inflammation.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And that a lot of times foods that are higher in sugars will do that, right?
Yes.
And foods that I say higher in sugars, I'm not just talking about like the ice cream. I'm not just talking about, candy or soda or things like that. But, like pasta has a lot of sugar, right? So
I'll try to tune into the soreness now, a couple of days.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like, pay attention to it. I know like for me personally, same thing. Like I'll notice like if I overdo carbohydrate, my body is, I'm more sore than normal. I'm more, I guess, it comes from the inflammation. I'm more sore than normal. I'm a little bit tighter. Joints hurt a little bit more.
Yeah, the tightness.
Yeah. It's, it kind of depends on what I'm doing. If I overeat, and this is pretty simple. I'm eating more, taking in more energy. But if I eat something that's higher in calories, my lifting is great, right?
Okay.
My lifting the next day is going to be, usually phenomenal, right? But running, number one, I'm going to probably feel a little bit heavier than normal. And it depends on the type of foods. Again, if it's more carbs than what I'm used to, is I'm going to feel probably a little bit more achy in the knees, in the back when I'm running. That's going to hit me sooner than what it normally would in a run. So like, I know for me personally, that's something that I really have to pay attention to. I really have to pay attention to that. But yeah, so nutrition.
Yeah, I'll try to dial in that soreness a couple of days after.
Yeah. And it's Yeah, it's just some stuff, definitely pay attention to it, right? Like as far as like the recovery side of things goes, when you are focusing on the nutrition to help you recover, focus on protein number one. Make sure that you are, even if you're in a calorie deficit, where you're trying to eat less food than what you are burning, try and keep it as a pretty fair balance to where you're not dropping your calories too low. Because that's, again, we're going to take this back to sleep, is you want an easy way to keep somebody up at night is underfeed them, right? If, and I always talk about like the low calorie diets. If you should be taking in 2,000 calories a day as maintenance and you drop your calories to 1,200 a day because you want to lose weight, well, your sleep's probably going to be dog shit that night. It's probably going to suck because what are you going to do? You're going to toss, you're going to turn, you're going to want food, you're going to wake up, you're probably going to feel hungry in the middle of the night, you're going to get those blood sugar level ups and downs, and it's just recipes for disaster again. So get your nutrition dialed in, suckers. What else can I give them on recovery?
I've been feeling, so last week I had a lot of arm work. I would lay down for a little bit. I get numb, my hand would go to sleep. And then I don't know if it's joints or what, but I've been getting a lot of pain in my elbow, shoulder.
Well, tell everybody what you've been doing.
Wrist. The push-ups?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been trying to do, ever since that push-up day that we had, every minute, right?
Yeah, we did the every minute on the minute.
So since that day, push-ups are like the worst thing for me, one of my weakest points and where I want to improve. So I took it beyond that day, and I've been doing 300 push-ups every day since. And Thursday, it was either Thursday or Friday, but it really kind of came down, and I felt not just like, it wasn't muscle soreness. There was like pain.
You're
like
achy. You're
elbows,
achy. Yeah.
Like these kind of joint areas. And then I would lay down and my hand would go to sleep. Well, it was just, that was weird. I'm not used to that. So yeah, that's what's going on. But again, 2 nights of sleep, I don't know, and then I'm able to knock them out earlier, or at least just in a particular time windows. So I guess technically my body recovered a little longer than normal instead of them being spread out during the day. Because sometimes I'm doing them at night,
Right.
So I had a little more time to recover. But yeah, that didn't feel good. So any recovery tips on that numbness or that achiness?
Again, it's like I told you before, don't, you're doing something like that, the 300 push-ups a day, and it stemmed from, I know I did this a while back, and mine started, I'm going to do 300 a day for 30 days, and then it ended up being 300 a day for 100 days. And I also threw pull-ups in there, and anyways, doing all sorts of stuff. And I know what worked for me was treating it as a full day to get everything in. Instead of, okay, I got 300 push-ups in, I'm going to get all 300 in this next half hour.
Oh, yeah. I can't do that. I've been spreading them out.
Yeah, and it's, spreading them out and, making sure also, like, again, you go back to the food, right? Are you eating good foods? Are you getting enough water? Are you sleeping well? Are you giving your body enough time to heal?
No. Water could probably be a little better.
And we just solved Mike's problem.
Sleep was definitely not happening.
Right.
Water could have been better. Food, coin flip, probably wasn't great, but every day to day, it's not the worst. I think I'm doing better in that category than sleep and water, I'd say.
Yeah. So, first thing, go back to like what I was telling everybody here, right, is go look at your sleep first. If you're not sleeping, you're not going to recover. You want to talk about banging on your joints and, not just your joints, but just beating your body up.
Yeah.
If my body doesn't have time to heal, it's not going to heal.
Yeah. This morning I, slept well the past 2 nights again. I got 100 in already and it felt way better than
right
than other days of.
And it wasn't like this grind through and yeah. Come on, man. It's not just, you're not the only one. You've been here in the morning where you're doing stuff in the office and I come in and I coach the first class and then I usually have time to get my workout in. And how many, you've seen it multiple times where I'm hurting and I'm banged up and I'm going, oh God, man, I can't push the way that I want to push today, but it all comes back to, I didn't sleep as much as I should have last night, or I didn't sleep as much as I wanted to last night. I just, for whatever reason. And it all comes back to that rest, right? It all comes back to that time of sleep and recovery. So start sleeping, Mike.
All right.
Okay. So we talked about sleep. We talked about nutrition. There's different things too. Like, we talk about working out, and that's we talk about working out a lot. And, I'm a person who likes to work out every single day. That's just who I am. That helps me keep momentum going. When I say work out every day, that doesn't mean that every day is a 10 out of 10, right? That doesn't mean that I'm pushing myself and I'm trying to grind through. And there's been multiple days where I'll come in and have this great plan of what I think I should be doing that day, and my body's just not feeling it.
Says nope.
Yeah. So what will I do is I'll use it as, I call them active recovery days, where, maybe I'll do some push-ups that day, and I'll swing the kettlebell for 100 swings, and I'm not talking about in a row. I'll just kind of break them up, sets of 10, sets of 15. I'll go for a 1 or 2 mile run, where if you know me, that's not a lot, right? That's super minimal, right? But I use that to recover, right? I move my body. I'm not pushing a fast pace. I'm not going crazy high reps. I'm not going crazy high weight. I'm not doing anything. It's about blood flow and circulation, right? And for some people, that means going for a walk. For some people, it's doing a few push-ups, doing a few kettlebell swings, maybe a light jog. I'm talking about minimal movement, right? When I say minimal, I mean minimal as far as effort. Like, I'm not talking, pushing that needle up to that 10 out of 10.
Strain and
exactly. And that's what I consider rest days for me, right? And that's for most people, I always say, you should have rest days. Ideally, you're going to work out 3, maybe 4 days in a row, take a rest day, and then get back to work. And on that rest day can have movement in it. And, and that's, I always tell people, like when they say, well, how many days should I work out? And I always say, take rest days where you need them, but make sure you move. A rest day is not an open invitation to sit down like Mike does with the ice cream on the couch and watch Netflix all day.
Active.
Actively eating ice cream. Shut up. It's for me, rest days are just, you're getting away from the higher intensity stuff, backing off a little bit, getting some circulation, some blood flow. I like to spend a little bit more time on stretching on those days. That's another thing that helps with the recovery quite a bit is stretching. And I don't think people do enough of it. I'm a big person, or a big believer in stretching post-exercise. I don't like stretching prior to exercise. I think after exercise, it's an easy way to help you kind of come down from your workout. That's something that's great for recovery. Stretching, foam rollers, lacrosse balls, the stuff that, you get in there and get some tissue work in. That stuff's great for recovery also. You really want to take that a step further. Spend some time on a foam roller, stretching, and with the lacrosse ball at night before you go to sleep, because that'll help you kind of relax and get you in that frame of mind to sleep. It'll get you in that kind of rest digest mode.
Yeah, some of those nights where it's hard to fall asleep, I'll go stretch, get up, walk to the living room and stretch, and then that usually helps.
Yeah, a lot of that is too. I'm a big believer in breathing and meditation, and stretching a lot of times can get you in a good breathing pattern to get you to relax, because it gets you taking in good air, exhaling, just kind of get you in sync with a rhythm there. So, that all kind of ties together. That's another good one. Everybody that does meditate will have a different opinion. Some people like to meditate first thing in the morning. Some people like to meditate at night. And I say just wherever you can get it in, get it in.
I was going to say, that's got to be something that also has to be you can't force that either, right? Like, there can't be an ultimate time for everybody.
You've met me before, right? Like, we've had conversations. Like, I definitely, I have to do it in the morning for me before my mind is filled with all sorts, right? Because I wake up and I'm
starts going
100 miles an hour. So the longer the day goes, the more stuff I got going on. So for me, I know it always works for me to spend that 5 or 10 minutes in the morning of meditation time. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can do it guided, do it not. But that definitely, as funny as it sounds, will help you with your recovery also, because that'll put your mind at ease and get you in the right frame of mind. Yeah. So the stretching, the lacrosse balls, the foam rolling.
Walking.
Walking.
I'm lucky enough or not unlucky. Basically, my fiance works, in the house all week. So when the weekend comes around, I don't get to rest. She's like, let's go hike. I found this spot. Like we went to Angel Island, the other week.
Yeah.
And, I'm like either.
Your sweet push-ups.
I'm always like, look, yeah, that was stupid. So I'm trying to be cool and like, oh man, let me film these push-ups on Angel Island. Oh, there's the San Francisco, the cityscape. You can see the whole city line. As soon as I start, I got the camera all set up. I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. So I start doing my push-ups. So then I finish, and Marty's just looking at me, and I'm like, what? He goes, right before you started, tons of fog just rolled in and covered the whole city. Sure enough, I look at the thing, and I'm like, all right, that was cool. But I was just going to say, so my active recovery kind of comes natural on the weekend. I think I'm going to rest. And then she's like, oh, let's go hike this,
right,
6 to 9 mile trail, which is cool. We get to go do
it's
something.
good. It's keeping you active.
And I like it. But, yeah, I think I'm going to just chill at the house. No.
No, you don't get chill time, Mike. Nope.
She's like, let's go. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. You don't fight it.
No.
That's good, because that's where you have problems.
Well, yeah.
All right. So, we're talking about movement. We're talking about the active recovery, taking rest, and it is okay to rest. I don't want people to think like you have to be moving all the time, right? Your body needs time to rest, recover, and just kind of chill out, right? And I know for me, the way my brain goes is like I said, I'm moving around, I'm going 100 miles an hour, and I get the guilt of sitting down, right? I'm like, oh my God, I should be doing something. I got to do this. I get up and I'm doing this. And, Tara always makes fun of me because like I'm the hardest person in the world to watch a movie with. Like at home, because we'll put a movie on and 20 minutes in, like I'll be in the kitchen, I'm cooking a 4-course meal, like
you got to keep moving.
Yeah. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I couldn't sit there, and it's just hard, but allowing yourself that time to sit and just kind of be, whether it's through meditation or just sitting, hanging out, even if it's just watching a show. And like I said, I hate saying that because I think people watch way too much TV as it is, and they binge watch this, that, and the other way too freaking much. But that downtime is good. Like Rachel was saying, she has her game that she plays, right? Like when we're doing that, the podcast on mindset. Mm-hmm. And I think that's big. Like, like as far as the recovery aspect goes, is having that time where you can just kind of shut your brain off and just be, whether you're doing something that is, you're watching something or you're just sitting. Like for me, like going and sitting in my backyard for 20 minutes in the sun is awesome.
Yeah.
A little recharge. Salt baths. Salt baths are a big one for me. Like the Epsom salt, whether it's really helping with recovery or not, just the hot salt bath, awesome for me for recovery. I'm also one too, probably once a week. I'm an ice bath person.
I was going to ask about the ice bath. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm an ice bath person like once a week. I would do it more often, but I don't have that much ice.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And I'm not spending $20 a day to do an ice bath, right? Like, but I think there's huge benefit in that. And I know everybody responds differently to different things. Like some people prefer the heat, some people prefer the sauna, some people will prefer the ice baths or cryo or stuff like that. And I think there's a benefit in all of it. So, but that stuff is all huge in recovery. It's all big in recovery, and a lot of it all starts though up here, right? If you think it's helping, it's probably going to help. Whether it's a placebo effect or whether it's real,
right.
It's probably going to help you. So how we doing on time, bud?
We're good.
Okay, cool. So I got a couple more things. So we talked ice, we talked heat. We were talking soft tissue work earlier, like lacrosse ball, foam rolling. Another thing that's, some people like for recovery, I've talked about mostly things that you can do on your own. Some things that you can do too is, some people prefer chiropractic work. Some people like ART work or soft tissue work from people who are either massage therapists or, chiropractors or physical therapists, but there's a lot of stuff that can be done there. I've got different people I know personally that I use. Like I've gone to Manny here in town at In Motion Chiropractic. Manny's awesome. My buddy Dave Collins, I've gone to Dave multiple times. Dave does all soft tissue work. Dave's one, he first thing he'll tell you is like, you ain't here for a fluff massage. And he's right. Like Dave will beat you up, but he'll get you right. And that's Todd's buddy. Like Todd loves going to see Dave, but Dave's gonna, like, I may cry when I go see him, but don't worry about that. But it's getting that soft tissue work done helps, now. That's something that for a lot of people is hard because that's another thing you have to schedule with another person. And now we're talking financials and this and that. So, but if you have that ability and you have that option, that's a great thing to look into. Right. So yeah, that's a few things that you could do like outside of yourself that you aren't doing for yourself or to yourself to help you recover. Right. You ever do chiropractic work or soft tissue?
No,
nothing.
I'm not a big massage.
No?
I don't like it.
No? Not a fan?
Nope.
Okay. Don't touch me?
Yeah. Okay. Seriously. I'm just like, I can't enjoy, I've tried. I can't enjoy a massage because I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Here, I'll do it.
It's funny, man. I know for me personally, like when I go see Dave, I don't even want to say massage because Dave's like.
Working.
He beat me up,
yeah.
And he got me right though. Like before we did world championships a few years ago, I was having issue like with my quad up into my groin and, like in pain. Anyways, fixed it. Right. It was great. But like I go see Dave and it's an hour and a half to 2 hours of me squirming on the table and I'm hurting and, like it's pain, mm-hmm. Right? Now, I've had the opposite where I go into a massage, and okay, I'm going to go get an hour massage on my back, and I'm that person, like, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, and I'm sleeping, right? I'm knocked out. Like, so, yeah, for me, like, it depends on what you're going in for, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. But, yeah, I mean, I like massages. They're great. They're awesome, but it depends on what type of massage we're talking about because I'm not falling asleep on Dave's table or, I'm not going to go fall asleep when I see Manny. Like I'm going to get right, So, yeah. What, you got anything you want to add to this?
Well, I was going to say, I haven't done it, but I would much rather, because like I said, I'll stretch in the middle of the night before sleep if I can't sleep, but I could see myself getting into yoga. And I think that would be beneficial for me. It's something that I would like to do.
Yeah, and I think yoga is awesome. I really do. I think yoga, just like working out, is one of those, like, when people first start doing it, make sure that you know what the hell you're doing or you're with somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. Because it's just like working out is if I brought somebody in who had never worked out before and said, you're going to do my workout today.
Yeah, you're not going to jump to level 10 or anything.
Right. And that's kind of the same thing with yoga. As I've seen people do that with yoga. They jump in and they're like, this is so freaking hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Well, yeah, you're probably doing some advanced yoga program and you're overstretching. And so if you're doing that, be careful, kids. But yeah, I think yoga is awesome. I think that could be a great way to help you recover, again, because it comes back to, the breathing and the stretching and, allowing your body to kind of sync up with itself and get in, what am I trying to say here, Mike?
Recovery.
Yeah. I mean,
and flow.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, like the stretching movements I've done, and then I'll look at like yoga for runners. I think I looked at that. So I just found this article last week or whatever. Just, I take everything like that when I go Google something with a grain of salt. Just kind of for reference,
right?
What's going on? But
was it beer running for yoga?
It was beer running.
Was Jake, Ramon teaching it?
Jake was teaching it. What's up, Jake?
Jake. If you're watching this, I know I've never met you, bro, but your Instagram is phenomenal.
But the movements, they feel good, and I always try to just ask myself, if I got this tweak in my back, like, how do I want to stretch? Like you see me, I don't know, in the morning, but I'll like go past my toes and try to slam my palm onto the ground, and just
you're usually asleep in the parking lot
when I stand up.
Oh, okay.
My back will crack in like 5 or 6 places, all the way through my neck, and it feels great. So that's why I do that throughout our workout sometimes, is because it just loosens me up.
Feel good.
Yeah, and so I just try to expand on that, check stuff out. But it feels good, so I could see it setting the tone for more if I got into something like yoga.
Well, and like you were saying too, you're talking about like flow, right? And that's exactly it. It's that's exactly what I was trying to say. Is it gets your body to flow better, right? With itself, with your breathing, with just your regular functions, right? And it kind of puts you in sync with yourself, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, and I know, like I said, through for me, through like that little bit of meditation time where I can get my breathing in sync, it kind of does it for me, and I kind of break up my stretching and I don't do it at the same time. But yeah, I've played around some yoga in the past and kind of similar to the meditation and the breathing. So, yeah, I think that's all I've got on recovery. I know, like I said, a lot of these topics can get super detailed. Maybe we'll do some more stuff in depth on this stuff later. But for now, I think we've given these people enough to think about when it comes to recovery.
And, what do you guys do for recovery? What's your favorite thing?
If Todd watches this, he watches, whatever show on Netflix and drinks about a 12-pack of beer.
That's the recovery.
Yeah, that's the recovery. Yeah, what are you guys doing? Let us know. What can we help you with? Do you guys have questions about anything that we talked about? Is there anything, that we didn't mention that you guys think is, hey, something that we should tell everybody about, or something that we should try ourselves?
Yeah.
Because I'm always that person, like, you guys have heard me say it before, but I'm a guinea pig. I like to try different things and, see how my body's going to react, and whether it's through workouts, whether it's through recovery, whether it's through nutrition, I'm always down to try something new. So if you guys have anything that is working for you, or anything that you guys are interested in, give us a shout, leave us a comment, send us an email, whatever, castironworkouts@gmail.com. If you haven't liked or followed yet, don't be dumb. Make sure you do that. Share it.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And what else, Mike? What else am I forgetting? We don't have a Twitter.
We don't have a Twitter. Coming soon, 2025.
Yeah, anyways, give us a review. Give us a review on one of the platforms. That'd help us out a lot. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode today, and we will see you guys soon. Later.
Thank you.